Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Mexico this hour looking to strengthen ties as both countries say they're striving to lessen reliance on the United States.
This is the U.S. departures area of Montreal's Trudeau Airport, which is particularly quiet at the height of summer. And one of the most visible signs Canadians are staying away.
We're going to tell our people not to travel to the United States.
No war has been declared, no sanctions have been imposed, and yet millions of Canadians are quietly turning their backs on one of their oldest allies, the United States. In 2020, something unusual is happening on the northern border. Canadian tourists, traditionally among the most loyal visitors to America, are staying home or going elsewhere. And the reason? Tariffs, politics, national pride. This emerging trend is being called the Canada Travel Boycott USA. And while it may sound subtle, the consequences could be enormous.
We created an atmosphere that's very hostile for us.
With everything going on south of the border, it just seemed to be a lot safer to just travel within Canada.
With billions of dollars in tourism revenue at stake and jobs on the line in dozens of U.S. states, this silent shift in behavior could reshape the relationship between two of the world's closest neighbors. Let's unpack the data, the decisions, and the deeper meaning behind this growing travel boycott. Part 1. Background and political context. To understand why so many Canadians are now rethinking their travel plans to the United States, we have to go back to early 2025. In March, former President Donald Trump, during his comeback campaign, signed an executive order reimposing a 25% tariff on aluminum and steel imports from Canada. The move was framed as part of a broader America First policy revival meant to protect U.S. industries from what Trump called unfair trade practices. But in Canada, the reaction was swift and emotional. It wasn't just about economics. It was about dignity, about being treated as an equal partner, not a rival. Trump's remarks didn't help. At a rally in Michigan, he claimed that Canada had been taking advantage of American generosity for decades, sparking outrage across the border. Within hours, Canadian social media was flooded with hashtags like #BoycottUSA, #TravelLocalCanada, and #SpendItHere. This wasn't a government-sanctioned movement. It was organic. It was personal.
I think the most consistent thing is that the Canadians have not forgiven Mr. Trump.
Ordinary Canadians, teachers, truck drivers, small business owners, started canceling vacations to Florida, California, and New York. Airlines reported a noticeable drop in cross-border bookings.
A lot of them will not come because of Trump and what was going on with Canada. They just don't want to come and spend their money here. The cost of living here has changed a lot.
Travel agents in Toronto and Vancouver began redirecting clients to destinations in Europe, Mexico, and Asia instead. The message was clear. If the U.S. government treats Canada like a trade threat, then many Canadians won't support the U.S. economy with their tourism dollars. This moment marked a shift from political disagreement to consumer action, and it set the stage for what's now being called a travel boycott with potentially massive economic consequences for the United States. Part 2. The numbers and economic impact. Let's move beyond the headlines and look at the numbers. Because when Canadians choose not to visit the United States, it's not just a matter of lost tourism. It's lost income, lost jobs, and lost opportunities on both sides of the border.
We're seeing a decline in the Canadian traveler to our hotel. So we are really trying to encourage people to come to Fort Lauderdale and the beautiful beaches.
According to the U.S. Travel Association, Canadian visitors spent approximately $25 billion USD in the United States in 2024. That made Canada the largest international tourism market for the U.S. by far. According to Forbes, in July 2025, border traffic from Canada dropped by a striking 33%, compared to the same month just a year earlier in 2024. That's not just a seasonal dip. That's a signal that Canadians are changing behavior, not because of a pandemic or natural disaster, but because of politics. And the impact is measurable. According to a model by Tourism Economics, even a 10% decrease in Canadian tourism to the U.S. could lead to a loss of $1 billion USD in revenue and more than 14,000 tourism-related jobs.
I love going to the U.S. I spend a lot of time there. But now you're curtailing that.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
All in direct response to what President Trump is up to.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now imagine that trend accelerates. If this boycott continues to grow or stretches into 2026, some estimates suggest the United States could lose as much as $29 billion in tourism revenue from Canada alone. That's according to reports from Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, and Travel Weekly. And it's not just the big cities like New York or Los Angeles that feel the pain. It's the small towns along the border. Places like Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Detroit, and Burlington, where Canadian visitors make up a huge portion of annual business. Hotels, restaurants, local attractions, and shopping centers all depend on that cross-border traffic. When it slows down, so does their economy. And here's the twist. There's no government to negotiate with, no tariff to remove, no embassy to call, because this isn't a policy, it's a choice, a quiet, collective choice by millions of Canadians. That could cost the U.S. billions. Part 3, reactions on both sides. So how are both countries reacting to this sudden shift? Let's start with Canada. The boycott wasn't planned. It wasn't organized by the government. It grew organically from frustration. Canadians felt dismissed, not just by tariffs, but by the rhetoric that came with them.
I don't want to belittle Mr. Trump, but on the other hand, hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah.
So thousands began taking action in the simplest way possible, by changing where they spend their money. Local travel bloggers encouraged their followers to vacation within Canada. Facebook groups promoting Buy Local campaigns added a new twist, Travel Local. In British Columbia and Ontario, regional tourism boards started launching digital campaigns promoting Canada First vacations. Slogans like Rediscover the Rockies and Why Cross a Border When Paradise is Here gained traction online. And it worked. Domestic bookings spiked. Hotel occupancy rose in Canadian resort towns. At the same time, cross-border travel declined. Meanwhile, some Canadians who still wanted to leave the country began exploring other options. Europe, Japan, Mexico, the Caribbean, anywhere but the U.S. Now let's look at the American side. At the federal level, the reaction has been muted. There's been no official response from the White House, the Department of Commerce, or the U.S. Travel Association addressing the decline. But at the state and local level, the concern is real. Border states like Vermont, New York, Michigan, and Washington are beginning to feel the pinch. In Vermont, for example, Canadian tourists account for nearly 50% of summer visitors in some towns. To counter the trend, local business leaders and chambers of commerce have started outreach campaigns of their own. One billboard near the border reads, "Dear Canada, you're always welcome here." Hotels in upstate New York are offering discounts to Canadian guests. Tourism offices in Detroit are running digital ads in Ontario, reminding Canadians of the cultural ties they share with their American neighbors. But the question remains, can regional goodwill overcome national-level tension? Or is this travel boycott just the beginning of something bigger? Part 4, deeper implications. At first glance, this might seem like a temporary reaction, a short-term response to a political decision, a public protest through canceled vacations. But look deeper, and it reveals something much more profound. What we're seeing is the power of the consumer. Not as a shopper, but as a citizen. This isn't about boycotting a product. It's about boycotting a destination, an entire country, as a form of soft power resistance.
International travel is way down. People are not coming to the United States. We have a rather large market with the Canadians.
And unlike traditional protests, there's no need for signs or rallies. No need for politicians to get involved. It's a quiet, decentralized movement, but with real financial consequences. And it raises serious questions for American policymakers and business leaders alike. How much influence should foreign policy have on everyday life, on where people feel welcome or not? Because for Canadians, this isn't just about tariffs. It's about dignity. It's about feeling respected. It's about being treated as more than just a trading partner. When that trust is broken, people don't write letters. They close their wallets. And that's what makes the Canada Travel Boycott USA so unique. It's not a top-down political battle. It's bottom-up, led by everyday travelers, sending a clear message without ever saying a word. So where does this all lead? Right now, the Canada Travel Boycott USA isn't an official policy. It's not on any government agenda. It wasn't passed in a vote. It didn't come from Parliament or Congress. It came from people. Everyday citizens making everyday choices. Where to go on vacation, where to spend their money, where they feel welcomed or not. And those small choices are now reshaping an entire industry. If this trend continues, the United States stands to lose not just billions of dollars, but something harder to measure: goodwill, trust, friendship. Canada has long been one of America's closest allies, economically, culturally, and politically. But even strong relationships need maintenance, respect, dialogue, reciprocity. Because when a friend quietly walks away, it usually means they have already been ignored for too long. So here's the question: can this be reversed? Or is it a warning sign of a deeper divide? That's something for leaders and citizens to consider. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like the video. It helps others discover balanced, fact-based content. And if you want to stay informed with clear, calm analysis of global issues, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We'll be here every week breaking down the headlines without the noise. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.